Fighting Talk Podcast, Episode 1. I'm delighted to say it's my first guest. I have got my good friend and MMA fighter, Cal Ellenor. Cal, how's it going, mate?
It's going great, Jake, mate. Thanks for bringing us in to have a talk with you. I'm looking forward to it, mate.
No bother at all. So we'll start with yourself. Obviously, you were fighting last Saturday on Olympus. Got yourself another victory. Is that 6-1 now?
6-1, yeah.
How was the fight for you?
It was good. It was a good experience. It was nice to get back in there and get back to winning ways. I feel like every time I've been out there, I've kind of gained more knowledge about myself, and like my presence in there gets better every time. Like I feel more aware of kind of my surroundings and what's going on, and feel like I can break things down easy while I'm in there. Like I don't know, it's good to stay busy. I was looking forward to fighting on Bama, and then obviously that got cancelled. So yeah, it was great just to be staying busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it must be nice for you to be fighting at home as well, because obviously you're signed now with the UFC.
Yeah, yeah. It's brilliant actually. I'd say it's pros and cons actually. It's like it's kind of more pressure having obviously all my home support there, but in the same sense it's really nice to be able to weigh in and then actually go home and be in your own house and rehydrate in the house and be comfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think I'm fair in saying that win on Saturday, it was a relatively comfortable win for you. The lad, it was his second fight, I think, was it? Yeah.
Yeah. Hats off to Espen for taking the fight. Actually, I was originally slated to fight Steve Amable, and he pulled out for whatever reason. I'm not sure, maybe injury, whatever. But yeah, good on him for taking the fight. It was a fight. I kind of wanted to go out and show what level I'm actually at in the stand-up department, and actually let my hands go for once and show people my striking ability. But kind of he entered the grappling exchange first. He took me down, and that opened up doors and opportunities for me to show more of myself on the floor. So it was a good experience. He was strong, and it just, as I say, it pushed us and helped us show another side of myself on the floor, I suppose.
Yeah. In looking back, your fight before that against Gareth Sparisky, don't say too much about it. Obviously, you're signed with the UFC. It went the distance. You didn't get the decision, but there was a lot of people on Twitter who felt it should have gone your way. Me personally, I watched the fight when they streamed it, and I agree with them. I think you sort of all three rounds were yours, really. Yeah. Do you feel yourself you should have probably won that one, or
1,010%? I feel like I didn't get out the first gear as such. I feel like there was many opportunities I could have finished the fight. It's all a learning curve, like slight things on the floor. I felt like I could have given myself more opportunities to finish it. The Von Fleur was there all night. I didn't capitalise on that. I was thinking more position rather than submission, because he was short and he was explosive and he was quite strong, and I didn't want to give up position and end up on the bottom. So I just thought more about top position and rather than finishing the fight. And kind of, I feel like I was the aggressor. I was pushing the fight. It was my pace. I was doing what I wanted. I held the centre. I landed more takedowns. I landed more strikes. More submission attempts. I think I dropped him in the third round. I can't see how. I've watched the fight many times, and honestly, I couldn't see how anyone could have scored the fight to him. But that was good. It was a good experience. I changed nothing. You know, like it's one of them things. It's the game we're in. You can't get out of this game without having the odd loss here and there. But it's what you do going forward that matters, and that's why I'm just glad to be back in the win column, opening more doors for myself for 2018. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I have asked EFC as well if they can supply us with the footage. We're still talking about that. If not, hopefully it'll go out on YouTube and people can make their own call on that fight as well.
Oh, definitely. That would be nice. Definitely.
Looking forward now as well, mate. Sort of for the region, massive fight card, the Bama card you were just on about as well. I've just loaded the card up here. I know you've got a lot of lads fighting out at your gym, Team Fish Tank, TFT. If we just have a quick run down through the sort of fights. Obviously, you've got Ryan Scope fighting first. He's had best part of 8 months out after his loss to Liu Long. I've seen him in training. I know that you're training with him. He's looking sharp.
Yeah, definitely sparring with him regularly, week in, week out. He's on fire at the minute. He'll definitely put on a great performance. There's no doubt about it.
Then you've got, I know he's your good mate as well, Carl Fletcher, Freak Show, former UFC. He's arguably one of the biggest draws on that card.
Definitely.
Think he's going to do the business?
The guy's fighting's a little wrestler. He looks good. I've watched a few of his fights now. Actually, he looks strong. He's durable. But Colin's a nightmare. He's rangy. He's strong. He's like got that wiry strength. You know, like where you don't expect him to be as strong as he is. He's really good at what he does. He's so unorthodox. You can't prepare for someone like that, you know what I mean? Especially in a fight as well. I mean, sparring with him's one thing, but then in a fight when you've got your elbows and his knees and he's dark choke you from anywhere. He's got a lot of his arm bars as well. He's really sneaky with his arm bars and stuff like that as well. He's exciting. He's a fun fighter. That's why obviously he's the draw he is. You know what I mean? I can't wait to see him fight. I'd love to finish the year on another big win. You know, after his win after Chris Bungard, that was a huge win. It was a great performance as well. So hopefully he can finish the year on another good win. You know.
I know you about that fight as well. That was some fight, by the way.
Credit
to both fighters.
Both of them are good guys. I know Chris as well. Chris is a lovely guy as well. But I'm glad I was there to witness that in person. It was a sick fight. It was really, really good.
Who else we got? We've got Tony. We've got Tony Mustard fighting as well. Just got his title made for the cage at the heavyweight strap, and now he's having Darren Towler at this BAMAC card.
Yeah.
I imagine that one will be over quite quickly. I can't imagine.
Yeah, the heavyweights. You know what it's like. They'll be swinging. I think Tony should beat Towler quite convincingly, though. I feel like he's obviously Towler's tough and he's a heavyweight and it's anyone's game. But I just think Tony's got more tools that he can apply. You know, I think he's got more opportunities to win that fight. Definitely.
Yeah. I know they're not on the screen that we're looking at, but they are confirmed and they're being made official as well. You've got Louis Monarch fighting and Phil DeFries as well.
Yeah.
Again, another two huge names out of sort of Northeast MMA. Can you see, not a comfortable win, but a win for them both even?
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously I spar with Lewis the same week in, week out. You know, we train with each other constantly. He's on fire. He's really, really... He's mid at the minute, and he's record. He's obviously lost the two. He lost to Kane Musa, and he lost to what was it, Jason Pontier. And I think both of them fights. I think the fight with Kane, 9 times out of 10, I think Lewis could well easily win that fight. And he should have never lost to Jason Pontier. I think it was just an off night, as you know, it happens in this game. I think he's honestly one of the best fighters about at the minute. I think he's going to show by beating a big name like Jeremy Petley. Although it's his first time at featherweight, I think he's in the best shape I've ever seen him in. He's walking around. He hasn't even got much to go now. You know what I mean? And he hasn't started his cut yet, so he'll be spot on the night. I think it's a great fight for him for his first one at feather. And then Phil's it's kind of like he's got a new, I don't know, maybe a new feel for the game as such. You know, if you look at his last performance in Russia,
he's on M1,
and his general love for the game. I suppose he's like the way he feels about it now. Like he's told us personally that he used to actually hate competing. He used to do it, and he didn't know why he did it. He says he used to hate it, but now he actually really enjoys the whole process. You know, so I'm just thinking the way he is now at this point in his career, it's another big opportunity for him, and I think he can go out there and steal the show, you know, and beat him and have another big name on his record.
It's interesting that you say that because I spoke to Carl after the Chris Bungard fight. I believe, sorry, no, it wasn't. It was his fight before against Murray, and Carl said himself he was like he'd sort of not fell out of love with MMA, but he wasn't enjoying it the way he used to. But now he's starting to get back, and I think you could see that in Chris's performance and the performance against Murray as well. And it's nice to see them lads who are sort of slightly older than the new up and coming like yourselves, the likes of Louis. Nice to see them enjoying the sport again.
Oh, definitely, that's it, man. Like before, it was kind of my way of thinking as well. I used to think like you had a time scale, and it was like do the most like when you're young and all this and that. And you look at MMA now, and it's kind of like the kind of like Andrew Fisher's, you call him Fletcher's. Like at this point in their career, it's the best they've ever looked, and it's not by chance. It's just that's the way it is. It's like you're enjoying it and you're taking your time and you're learning more, and I think that's like a massive part of it, you know, just the enjoyment of it all. Like I think when you're a younger fighter, I think you put a lot more pressure on yourself. Whereas when you're older, that pressure's kind of gone, and you're competing for more of just the love of it, and that's when you're getting the most out of yourself. You know, like that's when you're getting your best performances. If you look at Andrew Fisher's last 3 fights now, it's never looked better. Even the fight he lost against Norman Park, it was still amazing, and arguably could have won that fight. You know, and that's a huge name who had a winning record in the UFC. It's just I think it's just all about how you feel going in and your relaxation, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Looking away from that, Jim, as well, you've got Adam Proctor as well, who is sort of a really highly touted Northeast prospect.
Yep.
I think without doubt his toughest fight yet against Nathan Bagentag Jones.
It's a big fight for him, isn't it? It's
fight.
a huge opportunity. But from what I've seen of Adam, he's looked great. You know what I mean? He's a big up and comer from the Northeast. It's great to see lads of this caliber coming out. You know, he's young as well. He's got quite a lot of fights on his record already. He's got a good winning record. He's beat some good guys. I'm really looking forward to watching that fight and see how he copes with the pressure as such. You know, of somebody like Nathan Jones. You know, so
do you think if Adam wins that really then puts him in? I know a lot of people do already know the name Adam Proctor, but in terms of UK MMA, if he does cop a really impressive win against Nathan Jones, does that put him right up there in sort of
for sure
a lot of people talking about
him? Yeah, definitely. I'd say on a stage like that as well, fighting someone like that can only be a benefit to him. You know what I mean? Like, regardless what happens, look at the stage he's on, look at his opponent. It's a massive opportunity for him, and good on him. That's what the game's about. You know, going in there and testing yourself against these good guys. I'm wishing him all the best. You know what I mean? I hope he does. I really hope he does well. So it's great to see.
And looking away from sort of the lads who have been around the game for a few years, looking at one of the newest names in pro MMA and one of the most controversial names as well. You've got Geordie Shaw's Aaron Chalmers fighting as well. It's another debutant for him. As a fighter, when you see him, because I know on this card that we're looking at here, it's got Scope and Labau as a top fight.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about Aaron being the headliner, and on Bama's promos, he is the face.
Yeah.
What does that feel like as a fighter for you? Who's somebody who personally, he's training, like, credit to him. It takes a lot to step in the cage, but his celebrity has got him sort of where he is.
Yeah, for sure. It's like there's different ways you can look at it. Obviously, you see a lot of, I'd say, a more percent of people looking in think it's kind of like it's a bad thing for Bama, and they're complaining like, how can a guy with no amateur experience go pro and be fighting on the big stages like this, main events? And if it's kind of you've got the other side where people are saying like it's great for the sport because he's bringing new attention to it, you know, and especially in the Northeast and stuff like that. And it all just depends which way you look at it, really. Like, I think it's obviously it's who he is, he's like how well he's known, that's getting him on there, and good on him, you know. Like, obviously, like, he's got an opportunity to go out there. There's a lot of pressure on him, and if he's enjoying it, then more power to him, you know what I mean? That's like, he's bringing new attention to it. And as I can't remember where I've seen it actually, but I think Bama's apparently on about bringing more shows to Newcastle, another 2 shows I think they might have said in 2018 possibly, and it gives the likes of, I don't know, myself, Ryan, Colin, Adam Proctor, all the Northeast lads, this huge stage to fight on, and potentially that might not have been happening if it wasn't for him, you know. So I don't know how much pull he's had in it, and if that's the sole reason they're there or not, but regardless, it means there's a huge show coming to the Northeast, and it gives us all opportunities to get on there. So obviously it's a win-win, really, isn't it, for everyone? I mean, whether you like him or not, for I don't know him personally, I can't say, but whether you like what he's Geordie Shaw stuff and all that, I don't know, but he's doing well, you know. Like, obviously he's just beaten who's in front of him. The guy he beat, his last fight, I think one of the lads from our gym fought him when he was amateur before he fought Chalmers as a pro. And he's doing all right, you know what I mean? He knocked that guy out, and he beat the other kid, so good for him. I don't know, Donaldson, is it Donaldson? I haven't seen his fights. Obviously, is his debut or?
I believe it's his debut as a pro. Yeah,
I seen I think I seen a little clip of him boxing.
Yeah.
And I think he stopped the guy. He didn't look. That's there actually there, and he looked composed. You know what I mean? He didn't look like a raw novice in there. He looked like he has actually done something before, and he's sleeps this guy here, so he doesn't look like a bum. You know, like it could be a tough fight, and then honestly, I don't know if in them little MMA gloves as well, it's anyone's game, man. You land a shot on the button and someone's going to sleep, you know. So it'll be good to see, because Aaron comes out swinging and his chin's in the air.
Yeah.
So and it's good to see. I'm looking forward to it. I don't wish him any bad luck at all. I want to see people do well. I haven't got a problem with him, me. So I hope everyone has a good fight. You know, it's I'll be there myself watching, as there's 5 or 6 of my teammates on there now. Obviously Kurt trains with Alex, but Kurt's one of my good friends as well, so and Justin's a sound guy as well, so it's going to be a sick card. I wish I was on it myself. I'm gutted I'm not, but everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? So.
I know you touched on that. I've not seen it myself, but Bama saying about bringing more shows to the Northeast.
Yeah.
How much of a sleeping giant though is the Northeast in terms of MMA? Because the amount of lads, the amount of gyms we've got around here, SBG South Shields, they're pushing out loads of good lads.
Great lads.
TFT pushing out loads of great lads. Sport, and you got the Made for the Cage Academy that's just started as well. Yeah. There's a lot of gyms that are doing so much sort of good work. I was doing an article for Sportsbite earlier on today, and the last time a major MMA company were up here was 2008, and it was a UFC 80.
Yeah.
That's far too long.
Yeah, I think there was the one Cage Warriors as well. I think Cage Warriors did one, didn't they?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
But yeah, that's not enough, man. Obviously, like it's talent stacked. The Northeast MMA there's some really big names, and there's some top up and coming fighters, you know. And I think I think Bama 33 is a great opportunity for the wider audience to see how much actually is talent in the Northeast, and if the show goes down well, which it will, hopefully it shows people to get back here, back it more, put more shows up here. There's big revenue for it, you know what I mean? Especially in Newcastle, the nightlife, you've got hotels, you've got everything you need. It's potentially a massive opportunity for any big show, so it's good on Bama for stepping up and being as such the first ones to really come and do a huge show like that, you know what I mean?
I don't know if you've seen what I shared on Twitter as well, but ITV4 have now got the broadcasting rights for that.
I saw that.
How big is that?
It's massive, MMA? Isn't it? So is that live on? Is it live?
That will be
ITV?
Live on ITV4.
That's
so
massive.
The deal has moved from Dave to ITV4.
That's amazing.
But it just shows sort of leaps and bounds.
Oh, definitely.
How much MMA's came on.
Is it the full card?
It's the full Bama card.
Is it? So there's obviously the
Bellator
1, 2,
lads.
3. So that'll be 9 fighters on.
I believe so. I don't know the ins and outs of the deal. I don't know what's happening, but
that's amazing.
I know
Hopefully it is.
Ryan put on Twitter the other day that his fight will be on there.
Yeah,
he'll be top of the bill. So you've got to think the fights below that will probably be on there as well. But it's just huge, like for ITV, one of the biggest companies in the world, to now be taking it on and bringing MMA to the mainstream, which is where it should be.
It's all positive stuff, isn't it? Definitely, yeah. It's amazing.
Looking at that card as well, there's a lot of ink on a lot of them fighters, and you yourself, you've got quite a few tattoos on the go.
Mass coverage, I love it.
You got stories behind them? Any good stories? Any funny stories?
Not so much really. I don't know why. I just always have just enjoyed getting tattooed. I love it. It's I don't know what it is about it. I've got one. I've got my daughter's name on the back of my head. That's probably my most meaningful one, I would say. Actually, the one on my neck. So I'm 23. That got read out at my friend's funeral, and that had meaning to us. My knuckles all's well end. Well, Shakespeare. I like Shakespeare for some reason. That's it. I don't know why. When
did you get your first one?
When did I get my first one? I got my first one, I think I was 13-year-old. It's actually covered now. Gangster. No, I was boxing at the time. It was when I was still boxing, and I was young in my career as such, and I don't know why, I just always wanted a tattoo, and my dad's covered, and people who have kind of like idolised as a kid growing up, Travis Barker and people like that, you know. So I was like, I just always wanted a tattoo, and I ended up I got me boxing gym's name and boxing gloves and stuff like that on my arm, and but by the time I was like, because I was so young when I got it, by the time I was like 18, 19, it was kind of faded. I got it done just like you know, like it could have been done in somebody's garage or something, you know. It was kind of like on that level, you know. It was like fading and stuff like that. So I just got it covered up when I started getting them like a bit older, you know what I mean. When I started MMA, I got it all covered up and stuff.
And you were on the Battle Boxing. I didn't even realise till like 3 hours ago that you had boxed. 26 fights. And
26, yeah, mate.
So was that amateur, going teenage years, and then what was
amateur until I started MMA? Yeah, I boxed for Sunderland ABC. I had my first fight, I think, when I was 12. It was at the Ramside Hall Hotel. My first ever one. I got best boxer of the show. My first fight. I won the golden belt in 2006. It's kind of like a national title, novice championship. I won that. I got a silver medal in the junior BAs 2007. The year after that I got a bronze in the boys clubs in the NACYPs, I think they called it, and that's England. I think it's England, Ireland and Scotland or whatever. I don't know if it's Tri-Nations. It's something like that. I think there might even be Welsh guys competing it as well.
All right.
But the boys clubs are good championships to be in. And yeah, I had 26 fights. I think I had my last boxing fight when I might have been 17, was when I had my 26th, and then that's when I started MMA.
Is that when you
yeah.
So was your coach?
It was I had a few different coaches actually. Stephen Patterson, he was a good guy. He was a good coach. He was actually fighting for the gym when I first started. He wasn't a coach at the time. It was only towards the end of my career that he was coaching, but he was a different kind of coach to the rest of the guys. Like there was the original coaches, was Joe Purvis, Jimmy Richardson, Willie Neal, people like that. They were like do your bread and butter, you know. They were the main coaches. But then towards the end, when Stevie started coaching, he was the one who kind of like, he would put more time in, you know, like he would train us on the nights when the novices were in, you know, when people weren't really, they were just coming up to keep fit. He would be there and he would pad us and stuff like that and put a lot of time in with us. So I've got a lot to thank him for as well, you know.
So what made you sort of transition from boxing into MMA then?
Basically, I used to always have like a weird thing, because I think it was just the age thing. I would train, I would fight, then I would keep fighting, and then I'd fall out of love with it, and I'd stop for a couple of weeks, and then I'd go back, and then the same thing, and I kind of got myself in like a rhythm where it kept happening, and then in the end, like, I ended up falling out with people and coaches and stuff like that. I was just a young lad, you know what I mean, and didn't really have any direction or goals. I was just fighting just for the sake of it. I just liked having something that I could apply myself to, you know what I mean. I didn't really have much that I was good at, and that was something I was winning, you know what I mean. So that's kind of why I did it, and I just stopped. I stopped competing. I had 2 senior fights. I won my first one, lost my second, and when I lost my second one, at the time I wasn't even training. I was smoking. I was messing about. I was just being an idiot. You know, and that's when I knew. I was like, you can't play them games. You know, you can't be trying to compete and fight and not putting 100% into it and being serious about it, because that's how people get hurt. And I just kind of lost love for it, and I'd stopped, and I was just keeping me kind of my nose in it, you know. I was like trying to keep a little bit fit, and I was training at a gym next to Ripe in Hollickside, and I was basically just going up, doing my own thing on the punch bags, my own little circuits and stuff, and there was a couple of lads who I knew who used to come in and do like an MMA class there, and basically I lived next to one of them who was one of my good friends, and I knew obviously Lewis Munich, and he was one of the guys, and it was Andrew Fisher's gym, and they used to come up when their boxing class was finishing, and they would come in and do their own bit in the back room. And obviously, I'd always knew what MMA was. I'd watched it. I used to watch it with my dad late on a night, you know, whenever his shifts worked out, and we used to watch the old UFCs and stuff like that. And I was always interested in it. I just never knew that there was places that did it. And then when I seen that they were doing it, I was like interested, and sometimes I would watch a little bit. And one of the lads, Luke, was like, "Oh, why didn't you pop along one day and meet the lads and have a bit of train?" So I was like, "Oh, I'll have a look about it." And I thought about it for a while, and I didn't go for a little bit, and then I just decided one day, I was like, "Oh, I'm not competing. I'm not tight or anything anyway. I may as well just go and have a look." And I went. My first session was a grappling class. And instantly I just fell in love with it, and it was amazing because at the time when I was boxing, I was classed as like open class. I was like quite a high level amateur. I had 26 fights. I was boxing good kids. I boxed Jeff Saunders, who's an undefeated pro now. I fought Antonio Kernahan, who's won all sorts. John McDonough won the Junior ABAs, won the Four Nations. I fought some really good kids. You know what I mean? I was at a level where I was kind of doing well for myself. You know what I mean? So to then come from somewhere like that in boxing to being in MMA and not knowing anything and getting schooled off everyone and being back to like a beginner again, to me was like, I loved it, and it just made us want to learn and be able to like push myself and give myself a new motivation to kind of be to be good, you know what I mean? So I was just hooked, and I just wanted to train, get better and better and better, and then I just kept going, and I didn't stop training. And then Andrew Fisher just says to us, "Oh, do you want to start? Would you like to fight?" And it's like I was sparring with the lads doing their rounds, and I was like, "Yeah, let's like give it a go." And basically, my first fight, we kind of just put everything around like a kind of sprawl and brawl, like kind of like get ups if I got took down, anti-grappling, get back up, and just use what I had, kind of rather than remolding it, just kind of using what I had.
Yeah.
And then by the time my second fight, I think I'd kind of brought the rest of my game up to the kind of standard of where me striking was, and I kind of like originated me like own little style, and I kind of felt like it worked well for us. I think that's why I've been as successful up to now as what I have, because of the way things worked out, you know what I mean?
You're really tall for your weight as well, aren't you?
Yeah, tall, rangy, skinny guy.
What's your cuts like to get down to?
To feather, it's easy. I don't even have to hot bath or dehydrate myself at all. I did for the last one. I was a little bit heavier going in to me last week of what I normally am. Like in the past, like even when I fought Declan Williams, I didn't have bath. I didn't put a sweatsuit on. That was at catch weight at 63. I didn't, like that. I didn't even cut weight for that fight. My last fight's probably the most weight I've cut the whole time. Like obviously, I'm gonna have to like change my habits, because in the past I've fought and I've given myself time off and I've ate and I've been an idiot and I've went really heavy, and that's made it harder for myself all over again. Whereas this time I've got goals, I've got fights coming up, and I'm fighting at bantamweight. I'm going down to 61, and that's my weight. I know I can do it comfortably. I know I can be strong, and I know that's where I'll be at my best, and I can't wait to show it next year. I'm really looking forward to it. So all Christmas now I'm just do what I'm doing, just stay light and stay fit and ready, you know what I mean?
In terms of weight cutting as well, everybody knows it's dangerous. It is one of them things. Do you think it's time the UFC brought in? I know Made for the Cage are starting next year. I know there's a couple of companies, the names have slipped my mind, who already have it. Yeah. But they have a weight division at every £10 from sort of 125, 135 up. Yeah. Do you think that's a way forward, or do you think keeping your cruisers, your welters in your middle?
I think it is good. I think it gives more fighters more opportunities. I mean, you've got the guys, so say people who can make welterweight quite easily, but then they can't make lightweight, so they're fighting guys who realistically are quite a bit bigger than them. And I think it's sometimes that's a big, from going from lightweight to welter, there's a big gap, so it just depends. But there's two ways to look at it, because obviously there's more people who potentially will cut more weight now, thinking, oh well, I could maybe make that next one down and push it even more, you know what I mean? It's I suppose the best way to look at it would be to, obviously, if they have the weight, see how over time how it goes. If there's more accidents the way there has been with weight cuts in the past, then obviously that's why, and if there's not, then obviously it's benefiting it, so. Have
you seen Cyborg weight cut? The video.
It's ridiculous. I'm just crying in the bath and it's horrible.
That I've just loaded up the card there for 219. Obviously, she's against Holly Holm for the featherweight title.
Is that when she makes 140 in between bantam and feather, though? Is it? because I think she makes
makes
Feather a lot comfortable.
Not comfortable, but she still gets it,
Yeah.
doesn't she? Yeah, but that's what I was going to touch on. So they've not introduced the division because of Cyborg, but Cyborg's
pretty much
one of the biggest names.
Yeah, of course.
How do you see that fight going down? Cyborg, Holly Holm?
I think Holly Holm will shock the world again. Actually, I really do. I love her. I think she's amazing, and I think she's got the mindset that it takes to win these kind of fights. I mean, devastated. She was beating Miesha Tate convincingly, and that slipped her. And then she got the Durandamine. Is it Durandamine?
Durandamine.
Yeah, that's the one. I think she was unlucky in that fight as well. I think obviously was it after the bell when she got like
twice?
Yeah, and I just think she's just been unlucky, and I think I'd love to see her just shock the world and beat Cyborg, because obviously no one really wants to fight Cyborg, and Holly Holm's stepping up, and
Durandamine lost the belt for it. Durandamine turned around and said, "Have your belt back. I'm not fighting Cyborg."
and look, Holly Holm normally fights at bantam as well, so just sees what kind of fighter she is, and that's what I love about her. I just think she's got that she's what MMA is about. She's going in there and she takes these fights, and she's got the right mindset, and she's going to go in there and she's going to go for it, and I think that's what you need. I think she's got the style that could beat Cyborg.
Did you see her last time out against, was it Beth?
When she chinned her, that was amazing.
That was
high kick.
Yeah, Beth put her hand up as well to say, like, I'm done, just straight through. That's a sort of, I think that even just shows just how determined she was to get back up to this top level. Like, it's certainly a way to make a mark to say I'm back.
Obviously, she's from a great gym as well, and obviously the masters of what they do. I think the whole card looks good, actually. To be honest, Khabib and Barboza. Honestly, it's a matchmaker's dream. Honestly, there's so many different ways you can look at this fight, and so many different ways you'll change your own opinion. Like, look at Khabib.
No more tiramisu for him.
Exactly. It's if seeing how he goes with the weight cut and seeing how that all turns out. I think Edson Barboza is a nightmare fight for him, though. To be honest, I think stylistically, you look at Khabib's last fight. Fought Michael Johnson. Obviously, he butchered him as soon as he got hold of him, took him down. But before that, he was getting lit up, and he looked like he was getting hurt. And Edson Barboza, if you watch his takedown defense, he's an absolute beast. And it's so hard to keep hold of him. He's a real slippery character. But if Khabib can get past the early stages of, is it 3 rounds or 5? That's
I imagine it'll be 5.
If it's 5 and Khabib can weather the early rounds, I think that's when he's got more chance of winning, because in the later rounds, that's when Edson seems to slow down, and that's when he's been hurt in the past. Early rounds, he's sharp, he's a nightmare.
Kicks. He's such a highlight KO.
There's nothing loaded up either. It's all just complete snap. It's amazing. He's a beast. It's just hard to see. I think personally, Edson will win.
Yeah,
I think Edson will win. Yeah,
Obviously, in terms of this division now as well, you've got Conor still with the belt. Tony,
I think he should be stripped.
Yeah, do you think he should
be
stripped?
I definitely think he should be stripped.
Do you think he's not necessarily damaging his reputation, but damaging the sort of brand of the UFC by taking 2 titles, not defending them, then just giving them back, going into his boxing, chasing the money? Kind of would admit that himself. I
think it's kind of like
he's built the brand, but now is he starting to?
It's hard. It's like, I think now, the way the UFC belt system is, it's like
everyone's an interim champ.
Yeah, and it's like, it's kind of like, it's hard to say. Like, Conor obviously got the fight for who he was and how much of a draw he was, but realistically, from a fighter's point of view, it's hard to say. No, if you look from a businessman point of view, then obviously you can see why he got the title shot at the lightweight division. He was featherweight champion. He
starched Alvarez as well, by the
way. He hadn't even had a fight in the UFC's lightweight division at the time, and they give him that shot. The reason I think, obviously, he fought Diaz at welterweight. Everyone knows Nate Diaz is a lightweight. He fights at welterweight. He's not looked half as good as what he has at lightweight. And I think they took that fight at welterweight knowing that if he lost the first one, which he did, obviously it's not in the lightweight division, so he still hasn't been beat at lightweight in the UFC. And obviously, the reason the rematch, I think, was at that weight was the exact same reason, because then if he wins that fight, it's, you know what I mean? It's like, if he loses a fight, it's still not in that lightweight division. And he's still got that opportunity to go that route. Whereas if he lost it and Nate was at the lightweight division, then how can he argue his chance for a title fight? And obviously he won that fight, and that's how he got the Alvarez fight. But if you look at, they had the likes of Kevin Lee, I think it was 8 wins or 7 wins off the belt or something at the time. Ferguson, real legit contenders who'd earned that position, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I just think,
can you see if Conor fights Ferguson, Conor beats Ferguson?
I think Tony Ferguson beats him.
Yeah,
I definitely think Tony Ferguson beats him.
What makes you? Why?
Why? Because I think just his tenacity. Really, I think he's relentless. He's obviously he's been hurt before. He's been put down, but if you put Tony Ferguson down, he's on his back, just kind of go into his guard, just kind of get on top, just kind of let him back up. He's super fit. His recovery's amazing. Anytime he's ever been hurt in the past, he's been straight back up. I don't think he's ever been really badly hurt where he's been. Did he get TKO'd off Michael Johnson years ago? I can't remember how that fight went actually, but I just can't see. I think Tony Ferguson beats him. He's a nightmare on the floor. He's got sick chokes. He throws all sorts of strikes from every angle. If you get on top of him, if you look against when he fought Kevin Lee, as soon as he was on his back, he doesn't stop working. He's an absolute nightmare. Eve Edwards beat him. Michael Johnson. Oh, it was unanimous there. See, I think he was hurt in that fight, and I honestly don't see how. I think McGregor, he obviously shots are lovely and tidy, and he hits hard, but I definitely think Tony Ferguson will beat him.
McGregor's never going to be a hard sell, but if McGregor does lose that, what's next? Diaz trilogy or?
So is that if he loses the belt?
Yeah. So if Conor loses the belt, he's
not
a hard sell because he's Conor McGregor. But
if Conor loses the belt,
the trilogy's a money fight. Do you think, or?
Possibly that's the money fight. That's the biggest draw. I think it's a bigger draw than Tony Ferguson. But obviously, then what does Tony do? Does Tony fight to unify the belt, or is he appointed true champion if he gets stripped, or what? It's hard to see, isn't it? Obviously, I have to see what happens. But
have you seen what Woodley's came out and said past couple of weeks
about moving up to 185?
That he'd vacate his belt. Do you think that's a blessing in disguise for the welterweight division? Because
I don't know, because obviously if he's saying that, I'd like to see, if that's the case, I'd like to see at middleweight who else Woodley would fight. Would he fight the likes of your Rockholds and your Weidmans and your Gastelums, or is he just saying that because he thinks GSP is not a true middleweight? Or I don't know.
It's a funny one, isn't it?
It is. I'd like to see something happen with the welterweight division, to be honest, because I feel like kind of at the minute it's like it went from being a super busy, really enjoyable division to now where Woodley's champion and he's kind of like stalling in fights as such, you know, like not fighting to finish, he's just fighting to kind of like score points and win. It's not.
You've got so many sort of huge names in that division as well. When you look at that, if you take out Woodley, Thompson at the top, you've got Robbie Lawler back.
Sick. Robbie Lawler, Dos Anjos
really doing the work.
Condit back. That's amazing. I can't wait to see how he is.
Is he not on 219 as well against?
I think he is actually. I think Magny, isn't it? Neil Magny. Yeah.
Sick. That's going to be some fight.
That's going to be a good fight.
I think that's an interesting fight as well, mind. Kamaru Usman, if it goes ahead. I know.
That's a sick fight. Also, Mark Day Casey fighting Dan Hooker. That'll be a good fight.
British representation as well out there.
I'd like to see how. Is it Mark Dick? Is it Mark? Yeah, I'd like to see how he does with Dan Hooker. He's long, rangy. He throws nice knees and stuff. He's a nightmare.
That Usman Meek fight, I know there is talk. I believe Usman's now said it's not going ahead.
Oh yeah.
Don't know if you've seen. So Meek was having issues with his visa.
He's got his visa now, though, hasn't he?
It's now been passed, but Usman said he doesn't want the fight now because he was training hard. Now he's got a cold, and he doesn't think he'll have time to come back. Have you seen his Twitter? Usman's Twitter.
I saw something. I think I seen a ML Mig put on about his visa, saying he'd been obviously reinstated and could fight. I know they've been back and forth, but I haven't really seen much of it, to be honest.
So him and Darren Till have also had a lot to do with each other recently. For Darren Till, if you look at that division, he smoked Cerrone. I know Cerrone went in with the whole I don't know who the kid is.
I think it was a bad fight for Cerrone, mate. I think he's a slow starter, and obviously I know it's hard to say. People say like obviously he's done so well at welterweight, but I think lightweight's where he should be. You know, I think that's his. That
knockout was his second. That 4-punch combo that he threw in when he dropped back down to lightweight, it was unbelievable.
He's a beast. I just think he's a slow starter, and I don't know. I just think like most people, if you look at Masvidal did the exact same thing. Just went at him straight away from the first bell, and I think that was the blueprint to kind of for Darren Till to just get in there and say exactly what needed to be done. But I have seen that Cerrone's talking about going back to 155, and I think that's a good move for him. I think that's why he's had the most success. I know he won, was it 6 or 7 off the belt or something like that, but I still, even with that, I still don't think he's a welterweight. If I think of Cerrone, I always think of him as a lightweight for some reason.
At 34, is the weight going to be an issue? I know he's at the top of his game, but the weight doesn't come off as easy.
No, and he does say he has to like really, really struggle to lightweight, so it's one of them things. I'd have to see one fight at lightweight again and see how he does in the lightweight division. Maybe I try to think who I'd like to see him fight. Who is in the lightweight division? What's the top 10? Lightweight.
Justin. Come back off that.
That would be a sick fight.
Eddie Alvarez.
I think that would be an enjoyable fight. But same again, Justin Gaethje just gets out there and gets in your face. Nate Diaz 2. That would be a good fight.
Yeah, that's
stylistically, it's a good fight.
I still think that's one of my favourite things ever with that face off. Cerrone flips him off the cart for the third and he gets it straight back out.
I tell you, I'd like to see him fight James Vick.
Yeah,
I think James Vick is doing really well at the minute, and he's not getting opportunities that he deserves. I don't know why. I don't know if it's people don't like him or what, but obviously it's the same thing. If he's winning fights, you can't not be noticed. If you look at his last fight against Duffy, he finished Duffy, and Duffy's a stud. You know what I mean? He's got that. He's like long rangey, heavy-handed, unorthodox style. He's a hard opponent to beat. You know what I mean? And obviously he's ranked 14th there. Maybe I'd like to see him fight someone in the top 10 and see how get a big opportunity. He always pushes for hard fights. I've seen him calling people out, trying to get these big names and struggling. So now after the finish with Duffy, hopefully that he gets a big fight, a big opportunity. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Poirier, someone like that, that would be a good fight.
Put him back in sort of contention. Did you watch 218?
I did.
I know it was the same night as your fight.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
How dangerous is Francis Ngannou?
Oh, he's a beast. I think the people that beat him, I think Stipe could beat him. I think Stipe could beat him as long as he hasn't got his boxing head on like he has done in the past and comes out and tries to keep it long and box. I think if he gets out, uses his hands, mix it up, he's got great wrestling. He has got really good wrestling. I think he could, if he can take him down, control him and try and win the fight that way. I think the only time you've seen him that fight he lost, and Ngannou lost, and I think he was controlled in that fight, wasn't he? I think that's how he lost, was he taken down, controlled. And I think that same again, them little gloves, and Ngannou's not scared to get hit, to land his shots. As you've seen against Alistair, he'll stand there in the pocket and he'll let his hands go. I think Cain Velasquez would beat him even easier than Stipe would. I think if Stipe can do it, I think Cain I think Keane's got the style. Maybe that if Ngannou beats Stipe, I'd like to see.
Fight.
I'd like to see. I'd like to see
Yeah.
what Keane does, because I love what Keane brings to the table. He brings something completely different to the rest of the heavyweight roster. I mean, you look at the top 10 heavyweights. 90% of the time, you'll see, oh yeah, they've got that knockout punch, they're dangerous. But there's not many of them that have got the pace and the wrestling.
Yeah, if it goes to the ground, there's a lot.
Oh yeah, exactly. And the way he fights is just really enjoyable. I think like I love watching him fight. I'd love to see him fighting Ngannou, actually, to be honest.
Yeah. That knockout was something else, though, wasn't it? That
was a beast.
It was a beast. But then that's, I suppose, post USADA over him. Of course, it's cleaned up the sport. Of course, that's good for MMA.
Definitely.
Do you think that there's some fighters, the likes of Overeem, he has been affected since USADA came? I don't think there's any
1,000,000%
denying that.
No, if you look at the before and after photos, it's weird, actually. I was talking about this with my friend the other night. It's kind of like he's one of the only ones post USADA who kind of looked really bad at the start, but then actually came back and looked really good. Whereas if you look at Vitor Belfort, as soon as USADA come in, the body difference you can see in his performances were like completely different to what it was when he was killing people with spinning heel kicks and stuff like that. But Overeem looked really bad at the start, and he was getting chinned off Ben Rothwell, Travis Browns, people like that, and then came back and started to look like, until Ngannou started to look like he was on his way up to a title contention again. So I don't know. I'd like to see how what changes he made in his life to be able to do that, coming from before USADA to after to going through that bad spell to looking really good again. I don't know if he's using something else, or if he's not using it, what lifestyle changes he's made. Like,
we don't know if he is
exactly. It's just speculation. Just obviously, I don't know if it's his diet or training regime or what he's done at that stage in his life, because at his age as well, to have gone through that bad spell and then come back out and arguably back in contention. It's interesting to see how he's done that. I'd like to know, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Where does Jon Jones go now? Because if there's one fighter that's been wrecked off USADA, it's Jon Jones.
When does his suspension up? Do you know? Or?
I'm sure it's like 3 years. It's a big
Is
job.
It?
Yeah. So it was at Tyrannoball.
It's Is it? Did he get found for, what was it again?
It was Tyrannoball. Yeah.
And is that when you're coming? Is that what they put you on when you're coming off steroids?
So it was an old steroid. Joe Rogan said on his podcast that the latest story, again pure speculation, but the latest story he
was in cocaine.
Was in cocaine that had been cut with creatine, which had the Tyrannoball in. But
I just think if that was the case, which is fair enough, whatever, he's already been caught for having coke in his system. He's already been penalised for that. And the way he carries himself and the way he speaks and what he says, if that was the case, and you cared so much about your legacy, then why would he have then took coke again? He was saying 10 days before the fight, and after everything what he said after the last time when he got caught for it, you think like, well, if that was true, why would you chance it again? Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's hard to believe the kind of, you know, like,
it's such a shame that he's ruined his legacy though.
Of course,
he's amazing. When he was back, when he landed that head kick on Cormier, all I was thinking was Gustafsson Jones 2.
Definitely, I think Gustafsson won the first fight. Definitely, I think he won that fight fair and square. Definitely, and the amount of times I've argued with people about it as well, I've watched that fight over and over, and I definitely think Gustafsson. I know, obviously, people say if you're the champion, you need to really be beat to lose the belt.
Yeah. You
can't just be beat to lose the belt. But I just think Gustafsson won the fight. Fair enough, he did get wobbled. I think it was in the 4th. But that honestly, I just think he did enough, and I would love to see him fight Jones again to see if the first fight was anything. You know, if it could match up to that, or what changes would be made between them to have that fight and see who would come out the victor, you know.
Imagine if they brought in a juiced up division. Jon Jones, Brock Lesnar, super fight.
Well, Ngannou's, is it Ngannou? I can't pronounce it.
Yeah.
He's saying that's his dream fight and that's who he'd like to fight.
Lesnar.
Lesnar, yeah.
What did you make of the whole Morcon situation with that? I know that's a few months back now, but testing positive again.
Yeah.
Because it's Brock Lesnar, he thinks.
It's shocking. I agree with Mark Hunt for taking them to court.
Yeah,
obviously,
he took some action against them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it should be one rule for all, and it kind of feels like for who he is and what revenue he brings in, they've kind of let things slide. Yeah, and it's not the way it should be. Especially an organisation as big as the UFC, what is want to be like grown and not like there's this whole like kind of stigma about the whole sport and from like
still
about
Barbaric
steroids and stuff like that, and it's like they want to be promoting clean athletes, you know, and I think it's kind of a step in the wrong direction letting stuff like that happen. So I think they should penalise Brock massively and obviously give Mark Hunt kind of what he wants as such, you know. So
what do you think of the people who still turn around and say that MMA is too barbaric to be a sport, if you like, or to be something that would be seen in mainstream
just think I think it's kind of a ignorant way people look at it, and I don't mean that it's like in a bad way. I just think it's they don't actually know enough about the sport
to pass judgment.
Yeah, to pass judgment, because obviously it's martial arts. It's an art, you know. You learn and you basically in the gym learning every aspect of the sport. There's so much goes into it, and there's so much hard work. It's kind of like I can't say, obviously it's bloody and it's violent and stuff like that, but it is an art form, you know. So it's kind of it's just the same as exactly. It's a fight, but it's also it's hard to explain the way I mean, but I just feel like it's kind of like an ignorant view towards it. Do
you think it's the best combat discipline out there?
For sure, definitely. I think it's the realest thing you're going to get. It's everything, you know, as every fighting style together. It's free fighting. It's not just stand up. It's not your wrestling. You know, it's everything, and it gives so many people opportunities to do it. You know, like obviously you've got your grapplers, world class grapplers competing. You've got them there fighting world class wrestlers, world class boxers, kickboxers, and it's amazing. It's constantly evolving as well, and that's what's another amazing thing about it.
I know you were saying as well about the UFC, how they sort of look to grow and keep growing.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited about the Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix? Have you seen the lineup for that?
It's amazing. I think they should do. I think that's what the sport's been waiting for. I think they should do more stuff like that. Same as in boxing, they've done the Super Series with the likes of Eubank and stuff like that in.
Yeah.
And I think I love stuff like that. I think it brings loads of attention to the sport again. And if you look at who it's got in, Bader, Fedor's fighting Frank Mir first. Is it Frank Mir he's fighting Mir first? Yeah. Amazing.
Chael Sonnen, Rampage Jackson.
Uh-huh.
That's a interesting bout.
I think Metrion's probably going to win it, like, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can find.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see that Rory MacDonald was saying he would step in?
Yeah, that'd be.
I love Rory.
I just think I think this is going to be one of the things that the UFC are starting to think.
I hope they do.
I wish we jumped on this first.
I hope more organisations start doing stuff like that. It's amazing, and it's.
What do you make of Chael being in it, Sonnen, in the heavyweight division?
Well, if you look at his fight, was it Tito? He shouldn't have. You know, like he should have beat Tito, no problem. Did he fight? Did he beat Vanderlei after? Did he fight Vanderlei after? I can't remember. I'm sure he did. I just think I don't think he should have ever lost to Tito.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He's on a
decision.
Mm-hmm. I just think he hasn't looked great his last couple outings, to be honest. Especially now at heavyweight division. I mean, he's a sick wrestler. He's always going to have that, and he's got a great work rate and stuff like that. But
you've got some huge strikers in that though. Like I'm sure his first fight is Rampage.
Is it?
Rampage is a big hitter. Like
yeah, definitely. I think Rampage was complaining about the matchup, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's another wrestler.
Another wrestler.
I know he tweeted like a week before the schedule had come out saying I really don't want one.
I think people are sleeping on Bader a bit as well. I think Bader's got a huge chance to win it as well, definitely.
The Fado, it's another one of them that the UFC sort of missed the trick. I know there was a few.
I think the UFC was smart. I think they kind of seen the way. I mean, they could have obviously signed him when they had the chance and got a couple of fights, but I think they kind of seen he was over the hill a bit and kind of maybe didn't want to go that route with him. Kind of thought his best fights would be on him, kind of thing. Maybe it would have been great to see him in the UFC once or twice, but I do think that's kind of the look they had on it. Like there was so much speculation for so long. I think they kind of just passed it by, kind of thing.
Ryan Nelson's in there as well. I know when he fought Bigfoot Silva, he had that running with John McCarthy at the end. I know when you're in the cage, you're very respectful to everybody.
Yeah.
What did you make of that as a? I think John McCarthy should have stepped in before. He did, but Roy was out water doing what he done.
Yeah. The referees are there for a reason, and it's their job. Like I'd say, like that whole deal with Conor McGregor and Mark Goddard, I just think it's kind of like your boundaries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's ways to act and there's ways to not act, regardless of the situation. I just think, I know obviously in the heat of the moment, people are like emotions are high and stuff like that. It's I just kind of think that they are there doing a job. You know what I mean? They're kind of like.
Yeah. Same with you, really, isn't it? Like you're there to do
yeah,
a job,
exactly. That's exactly it, man. If you've got like a quarrel with them, pick it up with them after, whatever. I just think time and a place, kind of thing. It's hard to say, isn't it? Obviously, you don't know what he was feeling, what he was thinking, but I definitely think like the officials and the referees have they have to be respected. You know what I mean? So.
In what's next for you now? Moving away from the big companies, what's coming up for you? Back out to South Africa, UFC this year?
Yeah, definitely.
Next year, sorry.
I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet or whatever, but I haven't. Basically,
but you've got something lined up.
I've got something lined up, which will be like big. I've got a tough fight. It's at 61 bantam.
What's it like fighting out there?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a different world,
Instagram,
honestly, man. It's like
I think Yannick Bahati was coming in the ring.
Yeah.
The cage, sorry, and you stand in. It just looked amazing.
It's sick. Honestly, like it's another world. It's like to them. Obviously, I don't know what kind of things they've got to be involved in, so it just kind of seems that everything is behind MMA. It's like I don't know what other sport. Obviously, I've only been there once. I don't know what kind of sports and stuff they've got out there. But when I got to Carnival City and I seen the setup, honestly, I couldn't believe it. When the press conference, the weigh-ins, just everything was just legit. It was like, it's crazy. It's great to be a part of it. The whole like feel of being there and being involved in it, I kind of felt like it was kind of where I wanted to be. You know, like obviously I fought on ACB. That's a massive show. Then at AFC out there, and I kind of feel like it's getting to the point now where my hard work's paying off, and it's motivating us more every time. Like the more kind of the bigger opportunities I get, the more it's pushing us forward to do better. Like being out there, man, walking out the cage for me fight and hearing the reaction of the crowd and me, with this not being South African, I've never seen anything like it. They were like hostile, people calling us, calling me coaches, Dale Atkinson, Jack Dickinson. They were just like. Honestly, like shouting at us, swearing at us, giving us just all sorts of different stuff when I was in there, trying to get me attention when I was saying when I was talking, getting the Vaseline on, stuff like that, and just it was mental. But then obviously when the decision didn't go my way, everyone booing and getting behind me, and the support I've got from that decision not going my way is massive. Like I've got a lot of people from South Africa on my side now, like following us. Messaging us all the time, saying they want us to come back out and fight again.
You looking for a title fight, 2018?
Well, apparently, if I'd won that fight against Gareth Bursky, apparently I was going to get a shot at a world title.
Right.
I don't know what the crack is with that, but obviously I lost that fight. But Gareth Bursky's now number one. He's fighting Felipe Rouge and for the number one contender. So I'd like to see how that goes. See what happens in that fight. The fight I've got next, obviously, if I win that fight, it's a tough fight, and he's a well-known kid out there, a well-respected kid. And I think if I win that fight, which I believe I will, I I think that puts us right back in contention. And if it doesn't, then I don't care. I'll stay busy and I'll get myself. I definitely think I'll win a world title next year. I do believe that, like, bantamweight division's my division, and I think I'll be a force to re-reckon with out there. I think I can, if I can apply myself the way I know I can in the gym and the way I know I can when I'm sparring, when I'm training, I know that there's no reason for them not to give us a title shot. You know, when they see the real me and what I'm actually capable of, I think I will get a title shot, definitely.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks very much for your time, Cal.
Thank you, mate.
First guest Fight and Talk podcast. We'll be back next week with Made for the Cage's head of media, Ben Holden.